because of housing, because of water, because of food, and because of this unjust, capitalistic, imperialistic, racist system that doesn't want people to be healthy. It's a lie. If you're supporting the ideas that we can have equity under this system, then you need to go back to the drawing board. And we need to confer, we need to consult and inform Indigenous people around the world, locally and globally. If we do not put Indigenous people first, be it the Green New Deal, and not on the last page, third to last paragraph, then it's a big lie. You're perpetuating more greed and more profit for corporations. With this tobacco, and I've done many of these, I want to offer it in the best way I can as a woman, as an Indigenous woman, as a mother, and as a grandmother to this concrete, the city that's poured over so many Tongva villages, sacred sites. And that's why throughout the LA Basin, we have so many different names for the villages, as I've been taught. This is Yagna, right here in downtown LA. And the elders and the children can now point to, because they're teaching the children in a beautiful way, the important history before it was Los Angeles, the city of angels. I can never figure that one out. But with that, I offer this tobacco to give thanks to the Tongva people for allowing us to be clumsy visitors on their land. And the remarkable pain to know when you look at these buildings and the infrastructure for oil, gas, and for the water that's brought from other territories for the millions of people that are here. I offer this tobacco to give thanks and to everybody to rise to their days, to be better relatives to everything living around them and everything and everyone. The ones that fly, the ones that swim, the four-legged, the two-legged, the creepy crawlers seen and not seen. And to the hard-headed humans who do not want to evolve, I put this tobacco down in their name to open up their minds, to open up their ears, so their heart will follow and it will open up their heart. We need to evolve. Creator and ancestors of this land, I ask you for guidance and for help. We are pitiful people when we can't take care of each other. We are pitiful people asking, please do not leave us behind. And I know that not all of us are going to make it, but this tobacco, I'm filling it up with love and compassion and kindness, because we've been here before. And if we don't start taking care of each other and everything around us, then perhaps we do deserve to perish. And I welcome the extinction, painful truth that not all of us are going to make it. But to have a better chance, I just ask with this little pinch of tobacco that we make way to be a better relative. Even to the ones who are not masked, who do not want to physically distance. I pray for them every day. To the south, to the north, to the west, to the north, to the east. Woo. I ask that you come up one on the mic. I think we're going to have Walker speak. We're all relatives here, so let's be kind and gentle with each other.
3,
Creator,
2.
please hear my plea. Please hear my prayer. And thank you, Tongva people, for always being kind and generous. Aho.
Oh, thank you, Lydia.
2,
Oh,
13, 4, 5, 2,
I don't have rights because I forgot them.
33, 33.
I actually gave them away.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
My name is Walker. I'm a senior organizer with Food and Water Watch. Funny enough, we stand here in front of the building that houses the Army Corps of Engineers. It also houses my office. Before we moved into this building, we started protesting this building and the administration that is represented here when the Dakota Access Pipeline was being forcefully plowed through Indigenous lands, community, the resistance that stood against it so many years ago. Oh, and we're back here today because that fight is only growing. Though we can look across the country and we can see all these sites where we're fighting for our lives, for our communities, for our health, for the right to exist, for clean water, we also see so many more people stepping into this challenge today than I think we understood was possible prior to 2016, but that we had always hoped and always prayed for. We have people like Nithya Raman, not just running for city council, but starting to win city council. Learning to understand how difficult it is not just to organize for power to take offices, but then to get in and run those offices. And to keep that fight going until there's a day when the power dynamics have shifted. And that's what we believe in. We believe in the organizing work. We believe in people coming together. We believe in people believing in themselves and each other, and believing that when we work together, a different way is possible for all of us. And I think this moment that we're all in, as imperfect and ugly and scary as it can be, there's a lot of beauty and a lot of hope. I think in slim congressional majorities, we see an opportunity perhaps we haven't seen in a decade to really push a fight on a campaign that is only growing and escalating, on a narrative that is only strengthening, and on a movement that is only building. And that's why we fight to end oil and gas, not because we have to, not because we know it's possible, but because everything is riding it. It's so much bigger than this. And as Lydia said, if like extinction is what we collectively as a species decide we want to do, well, that's what we're going to do. But for those of us who believe in ourselves and each other, we need to stand up and we fight this. That's why I call on the Biden administration. That's why I call on Congress. That's why I call on LA City Council, on California, on the school board, to join all of us in that vision for what is possible in this country. We need to get off fossil fuels. We need to start investing in our children and their children. We need to start working together against the doubt, against the cynicism, against the evil, against the profit motive that exists within our current system, and start believing in that light that we can all bring. Start learning how to work with our planet and our solar system to harness energy to create something more alternative, more beautiful than just the accumulation of wealth for wealth's sake. We need to guarantee a future for ourselves and for our children. And I just thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Walker. You know, I have to say that in the 4 years, I've witnessed personally coalition building. First it was Pittsburgh. That territory went ahead and created coalitions. Then I went to Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, the people brought everyone together in the convergence in their meeting and decided to be a coalition because everybody's water and air and land is the same concern for life. And all of the environmental justice groups decided to be a coalition. But wait, it gets better. I was fortunate enough to witness Texas. If Texas can do a coalition of environmental groups, what is wrong with Los Angeles? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be putting together the SLAC finally, formerly known as Movement LA. We have two Tongva words to switch that out. It's no longer going to be movement, and I will not try to pronounce the Tongva word as I have to learn it myself. I can promise you I'll do everything I can to build the bridges between the environmental groups from every four directions, wherever you are, be it the valley, be it east, be it south, or be it west. So I'm going to bring up someone from Sunrise if they want to speak. Oh, you're
Here,
not?
I can speak.
Okay, we have Jack who can speak from Sunrise, and for SoCal 350, we have Anna here from Long Beach. And that's what I'm talking about. This wasn't meant to be the thousands. In a time of COVID, we must go live. We must live stream the words to connect our prayers and our thoughts and our ideas of what is just and what is fair. Today is so important. Build Back Fossil Free. I thank you for putting everyone together and for that mobilization. I thank SoCal 350, Extinction Rebellion, Food and Water Watch, and some of the new Sunrise members that are here, or partially here, I think. And I don't know where you're from, sir. I haven't met you.
Videographer.
Videographer, another relative. I'm going to bring up Anna to talk about Pavuna and the desecration that's happening there, and how we really need to have that coalition tonight, midnight. That's it. No more you and me. It's us and we. Thank you, Anna, for coming the distance.
Thank you, Anna.
So I'm here as a representative of a coalition in that includes SoCal 350 called the Protect the Long Beach Los Cerritos Wetlands. This coalition started back in 2017 because of a massive expansion of oil drilling in the Los Cerritos wetlands proposed from 300 to 24,000 barrels of oil a day. A pipeline in which the Rebecca Robles, a Hashiman culture keeper, refers to as our standing rock, over an earthquake fault in a wetlands wildlife area, liquefied soil immediately adjacent to the San Diego River, Alamitos Bay, and the ocean. Too crazy to happen, happened. Got all the approvals all the way up from a city that is totally dependent on oil. Was the Sahara of Saudi Arabia back in the 20s. More oil came out of Long Beach, Signal Hill, than anywhere in those days. Still very addicted to oil. But also, so this project made it through the Coastal Commission. What's the Coastal Commission? It's a compromise. It's a compromise commission to balance development, as we see over and over again. We gotta have jobs. We gotta have development, right? We gotta have things that make money. Well, trying to balance that with life itself, with the environment, with the ocean, with nature. Nature's losing at the Coastal Commission. There's a special override that they use that allows fossil fuels to expand in the coastal zone. Former Coastal Commissioner Charles Lester, who lost his job, perhaps even over this, commented on that override. It's a fossil of the fossil fuel industry. It's a fossil of the 60s. When the Coastal Commission was created, when people were lining up to get gas in the car, gas shortage, we got to get rid of it. But they didn't even follow that. They didn't even follow the override, because the override only works if you have a benefit to the community. The benefit was a restoration. Think of restoration like the Tooth Fairy. Sprinkle some dust, everything's perfect. These words are not real anymore. Neither is reforestation. So what we're looking at is a project to go out and dig up and flood and bury under giant berms the sacred site of Pavugna. The sacred site of Pavugna is sacred to multiple tribes. I'm not Californian. I'm not going to go into all why it is, but but there was a teacher there. And before that, a creator spirit, Ria. And these traditions are in the tribes themselves, are not by some archaeologist or even by Boscana, Spanish priest. They're older and they've been kept by tribal people themselves. They're in their own tribal names. So anyway, all these tribes in this area are connected to this sacred site on Tonga land. We're cast apart. And so the site itself, can you imagine living somewhere for 10,000 years? You're not going to sit on 22 acres that is the National Register site up above on Cal State Long Beach. So when we look realistically and the way that Native American Heritage Commission looks at it, it's a vast area that includes the wetlands, as well as the embattled site at Cal State Long Beach. And so with the fossil fuel land, we need to still fighting. We have a lawsuit from the Wetlands Protectors, tuvu.org, in case you're interested, filed a lawsuit against the Coastal Commission for violating their own policies, lost the first round, but continues to push back against the oil company wanting extensions, will probably appeal, maybe, hopefully. So anyway, what we see with here locally is that we all really need each other. When you're trying to fight a state system, like the state university system, to protect a living meadow, where hundreds, 500 people in one ceremony gather, and yet they want to turn that into a parking lot, and they hide their plans, and then they promise, oh, we're going to build buildings out there for Native people, but people don't need buildings to pray in, and we need the meadow. We need people say, come down to that meadow, come down to Cal State Long Beach, along Bellflower Boulevard, to that meadow. Go out on that meadow. You will feel it. You will feel those spirits. But you know, that's how we're all supposed to feel every day. We're supposed to feel connected to nature, and we're so not that when we go to some place where we can, we say, oh, this is so sacred. It is sacred. But we have all these precious natural places, as we are natural people, right? And we know it. Somehow we know it. So I'm a big blabbermouth, as you can tell. But I want to, I want to tell you that you have an invitation from the Ahashman and Tonga people to come down and take a healing walk with us for yourself and for the land on the 24th of this month. It's a Saturday. Come down about 9 o'clock in the morning and walk through the wetlands and through this park, Gumgrove Park, where recently a bulldozer came out, just started digging. City of Seal Beach has no mineral. They have no, what do they call it? Thank you. So they went right into a site where they know there's burials and everything. Luckily, they didn't hit any burials. But we'll walk through the wetlands. We'll pray at the river. We'll gather. And Adelia Sandoval, a spiritual leader, who led them. Thanks to Lydia and 350.org, who sponsored the first wetlands healing walk in 2019. She's coming back to close the walk out. And then we'll have a rally along PCH, social distancing. We're also going to have an online event that night for people who can't make it, but that's the 24th. And we look forward to being part of this coalition. And we pray for the people on line 3. You know, I wish you the highest. Now all the rates are going up for COVID. All those man camps to score them. Well, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna. Pabudna is the place where we have they hold ceremony and it's invitation only, and the few people that have gone there will speak greatly. A few 500 of being healed. I'm one of them. Sciatic pain, and I had to tell the medicine people where my pain was. It was kind of embarrassing, but you know, it was right here on that side of my bottom. And they were laughing because it took me a year to get the courage. So I lived with the pain for an extra year. And that medicine and the people are there. And all of that will go away for a parking lot, for convenience, for cars that exhaust the air, the land, and everything living with it, extracting it and refining it from other places and spaces. I'm going to bring up Jack Ike to speak, and
I'd like to see a show of hands of anybody else to, because we haven't had anybody from Extinction Rebellion. It would be, yeah, okay. And then we'll have a little bit of music and just make our presence known here. They're nervous, as they should be. We already had security come and talk to us and give us the rules of engagement. There is a bathroom, by the way. I would be not a good relative if I didn't tell you the bathroom's on the second floor and it's open to the public. And we'll decide if we want to march, we can march. And we can always, we're going to end at the Canadian consulate to connect the people fighting the battle, Tiny House Warriors, Tanahus, Manuel, and just the brave spirits that run through there and give guidance and the protection of the land and water and the people there. So we wanted to end at the Canadian consulate before their doors closed and to show our presence there and to let the people know, especially Tanahus and her family, children, to know that we stand with them. And we've been praying for them. I've been praying every day, and it's hard to get up to the day sometimes to pray because you think it's not going to ever change anything. And here we are at a pivotal time right now. So stay in that prayer and that tobacco that was placed down. Stay in that sentiment today, please. Try to keep that in your heart so that way we can keep showing up for each other after today, especially after today. We have to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, and thank you everyone for showing up, coming down here to speak out about building back fossil free, but really to stop line 3 and to end this craziness with the Dakota Access Pipeline. My name is Jack Ide. I'm a co-founder and working on the steering committee for SoCal 350 Climate Action. We're a local group for 350.org, and we started off fighting Keystone XL. So tar sands has been at the center of the fight that we've been doing here. And okay, Keystone XL right now is off the table, but we still got massive moves. And what is this tar sands? It is taking the area of about the size of Great Britain in Alberta, turning it into a sacrifice zone, taking the original boreal forest, one of the last intact ecosystems on the planet, the original forest on the planet, calling it overburden, cutting off that forest, digging up the land, separating the sand from the tar. That's why we call it tar sands. And that process of separating the tar from the sands requires a massive amount of energy. They're talking about building a nuclear power plant. In short of that, there are incredible amounts of natural gas and other energy is being burned because you have to heat these sands to a massive level. And then they get, and also you have to wash them, meaning you need billions of gallons of water. So the Peace River, the Athabascan River, the Peace River, these historic flyway of, it's massive migration for worldwide bird populations that spend their summers up north and they head south during the winter. So it's polluting that river, and they take the water that they wash this tar sands with and put it into these dammed lakes. The lakes are, last time I checked, it was 50 square miles, meaning I'm in downtown Los Angeles. You have a tar sands lake that would go all the way down into South Orange County. Okay, that's how big the amount of this sacrifice zone, and they let it sit there so the toxic waste will settle to the bottom, and ideally they can bring that water back into the Athabascan River. So the indigenous folks who, time immemorial, have been living on these lands, hunting, fishing, living, existing, they've had to be taken over. And so this stuff needs to be gotten to market. So that's why they have these massive pipeline deals, because tar sands in the middle of nowhere isn't worth anything. So the Keystone XL, Line 3 connects with Alberta Clipper. Line 3 runs through North Minnesota all the way down to the refineries on the Great Lakes. The Dakota Access is meant to bring it down to Texas. It's sort of a replacement for Keystone XL. It was originally supposed to be a fracking pipeline for North Dakota. So anyways, we have to stop these. We have to stop this insanity, this desperation to go to massive lengths to provide this energy where we can do without it. So we need to stop these projects, and we need the Biden administration to step up. They stepped up with a decent step to stop Keystone, but we need Line 3 to be canceled. Right now they're in construction, and we need Dakota Access, which is today they're looking at the whole process there, and there's a good chance that these things can be stopped. So we need to come together and just say no. And real quick, one other just complete fossil fuel criminal is the multinational corporation Chevron, who's headquartered. Well, they've got headquarters in the Bay Area and New York, but in the 60s and 70s, one of their subsidiaries, Texaco, spent decades drilling. There you go. Tired of the people. They spent decades drilling in the Ecuadorian Amazon. They turned that Ecuadorian Amazon into another sacrifice zone. And they could have easily dealt with their wastewater and dealt with how they were handling these things, the oil and the water that they were using to separate from the mining they were doing. But instead, they just dumped it and poisoned that area. And they did it for decades. And they did it and walked away. There was a court case that went on for decades against them, which they fought with everything they could. It finally was moved to Ecuador because they thought they could win over there. They ended up losing the case, $9.5 billion settlement against Chevron to pay for their crimes in Ecuador. They are not paying those crimes. They're not paying that $9.5 billion. And they're doing everything they can to ruin anyone who is associated with collecting that $9.5 billion. So we need to stop Chevron from importing on the coast here. We have a petition that people can sign to the Coastal Commission and the California Energy Commission to disallow Chevron from importing even one drop of oil into California, putting us at risk on the coast because they have a marine terminal just off El Segundo after their refinery in El Segundo. So they just need to be stopped, and they need to step up and pay their $9.5 billion. And so thank you all for coming out, and back to you, Lydia.
From your lips to creators' ears and the ancestors. Thank you. Speaking of the California Coastal Commission, as Anna mentioned, and Jack mentioning Chevron, we did ask them to take a second look at the Chevron permit in El Segundo, because thanks to Food and Water Watch and a lot of the work that Sunrise did and all the collaboration with community, shut down the SoCal gas plant and what they're planning to do with that. I believe it when I see it, and I know we need to keep the pressure on. However, they want to put the desalination plant there. And what that means is the first one to try to get permitted is in Huntington Beach. And Newsom has this idea that we're going to have desalination plants up and down our coast. And he owes 6, 7 or lobbyists some favors. So he goes to lunch, $350 a plate, celebrates one of the lobbyists' birthdays, and tries to have some kind of normal life, not masked, during the height of the pandemic, the first round or the first real initial measurable wave. And I'm not talking to you, security, until I'm finished speaking. And the whole thing is that you have to be present with the state. Okay, it's federal now. We have somebody who's listening. We have state issues that we need to take care of because the desalination plant plans are not conferring, they're not consulting, they're not having the consent of the indigenous people in the entire state of California, the 16 counties that is California. So they're not meeting up with the indigenous people. They're not correctly in relationship with them. And additionally, housing has crisscrossed with the desalination plant plans because Poseidon wants $2 billion with the B, $2 billion to build their private industry for private profit. And that's in Huntington Beach. Check out azul.org, DOT.org, and check out what the plans are there. Because if the state of California gifts and gives these $2 billion to this private industry located in Canada, we're going to lose $880 million statewide for federal subsidies for housing. Now, I know we have different pockets of neighborhoods, even here in Los Angeles, that could use 10 million on the low end to fix the infrastructure of 125 homes in Sereno, thereabouts, create jobs, patch the roofs, fix the windows and the doors, mitigate the soil, see if the soil is good to grow food that will be edible and nutritious for the families, for the veterans, for the seniors, for anyone with handicap or ADA issues. We should be housing people. And to secure the water is to end the pipeline, genocide, ecocide, terroricide, and all the other killing machines that only profit select few. I'm going to say I'd rather have the water. I'd give up my car easily. As a matter of fact, because of the pandemic, I'm only driving twice a week. So if that, I don't profess something. I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm telling you, I walk everywhere and I drive very little. I'm ready to give it up. I want a horse. I want a horse to ride to here downtown. These guys on bicycles don't want to talk to me. So I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry to talk to security. I think we need to hear from Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah,
And then we're
please.
going to decide if we're going to march, how we're going to march.
We could do a banner
which way we're
drop.
going to go. Yeah. And we're going to, we have the banner drop. That's true. We have many things to do, people.
That's right.
I'm going to bring up Eric. Thank you so much for coming down. Extinction Rebellion. This is the family that I want to know because we're going to survive this. I want to know how to operate without electricity, gas, and definitely we're going to have to secure horses. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, sure. So our pleasure to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, Extinction Rebellion is here to support this movement today. Say, listen, have you guys heard about this thing? It's so cool. Have you heard about it? It's called Line 3. Have you heard about it? You haven't heard about it? Oh my God, it is just the coolest thing in the world. What it is, it's a pipeline. It's really shiny though. It's not just, but it's a shiny pipeline that comes from Canada all the way down to the Great Lakes region here in the United States. So what's so cool about it? I mean, isn't that cool enough all by itself? Well, here's what's cool about it. It's used to bring tar sand from Canada down to the United States so they can put it on ships in the Great Lakes region. Well, this is great, right? Because America needs more oil, don't we? Well, wrong on two counts. First of all, we don't need more oil. We already know, have known for years that we need to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. The last goddamn thing in the world we should be doing is increasing production of oil, right? But hey, this project, it's going to supply more oil. Maybe we need it for a little while. Guess what? Wrong second count. This oil isn't even for us. This oil would go straight on the ships and be shipped off to foreign nations. Wait a minute. So what else is good about it? Well, lots of jobs, right? Lots and lots of jobs for Americans. Well, yeah, for a little while, for like a year or two while they're building it. So, kind of a trade-off. But you know what else is great about it? It's being built by this company called Enbridge. Have you heard about Enbridge? Yeah.
You heard about it? Yeah. You heard about how safe they are? Not so much, right? Enbridge, their job, the thing that they do most is build pipelines. So they must be really good at it, right? Well, turns out, no, not really exactly. Turns out that every single pipeline they have ever built has leaked. Not just one or two or a couple every once in a while, every single one of them. Oh, well, what's wrong with a few drops of oil? Well, it's not really like that. It's like a leak usually turns into millions and billions of barrels of oil that go straight into the earth and straight into the waterways. And there's nothing really good about that. That's just bad for everybody. Well, they'll be able to contain it, right? I mean, if there's a leak, they could just clean it up, right? Well, not so much. Turns out Line 3 is going to cross 3 major waterways in the United States, including the Mississippi headwaters. Yeah, that Mississippi, the Mississippi that flows right down through the middle of the country and empties into the Gulf. The Mississippi upon which many, many millions of people depend upon for their livelihood. The Mississippi is water that has to remain clean. So yeah, there's a few problems with this project, just a few, you know. So, you know, who would want this kind of thing? Who would want it? Who would want to do this? Well, it's not really, how does it work exactly? Let's see. If I add up, okay, I want to make profit. I know that. Okay, so profit, right? So there's a cost, and then there's you know, gaining, so sell the oil, and there's a profit in the middle, right? So yeah, but like if I have to clean up oil spills, that takes a big piece of the profit away. Can't hear me?
Yeah, just a little closer, Mike.
How about this? Is that
Yeah,
better?
that's better.
Okay, guys, you're missing out my best jokes. So, okay, there's a cost of production. There's the sale price of oil. There's all the cleanup that I have to do every time I spill. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, not so much. Usually somehow or some way, this always ends up being paid by the United States taxpayer. But, okay, so that's bad. So what else? Well, oil is the most concentrated form of energy there is. Right, there's no question about that. So this is pure oil, right? Not so much. This particular oil is mixed with tar, it's mixed with sand, a bunch of other effluents, and chemicals. Yeah, it's actually about the most expensive oil there is to produce. It is the most expensive one. So in terms of short-range thinking, not so good. In terms of long-range thinking, no goddamn fucking way. There's no way in the world that we need this oil. It's just about this like madness to extract every goddamn last bit of profit they possibly can out of the earth at any cost to the populace, at any cost to nature, at any cost to the indigenous people that are trying to protect their water. And it's our water, actually. We are all affected by this. We all live with a legacy of 100 or more years of oil production. Most of the damage that is done to the earth in terms of pollution is about fossil fuel, right? It's an interesting, you know, conundrum in a sense, because I'm sure that when they first started playing around with crude oil and they realized how much energy was contained in it, they thought they had found this miracle thing. But you know what? You don't get something for nothing. The efficiency of containment of energy in fossil fuel has a flip side that is just as powerful. And what is it all for, really? What is it all for? Do we really benefit from this system that we have evolved to, in which we are utterly dependent upon fossil fuel production? Do we really benefit from this? I really question this. I question it every single day when I'm in my fucking car driving to my fucking slave job. What have we gained by developing this system? You know, so we need to think about this not in terms of just the immediate prescient need
to stop pollution, to put a cap on these oil lines, to put a cap on fossil fuel production, we need to think about it in terms of quality of life, our very own presence and the presence of our children and generations that come. It's not just about destroying the earth, although that is, I gotta admit, a pretty big piece of the puzzle. But it's also about our mental state. Do we want to live this way? Do we want to live slaves to a system that at the same time simultaneously is killing us? And I don't think so. I think that is our revolution to fight, and we have to do it now. We have to fight like hell because we are holding on to the last crumbs of a decent lifestyle, the last crumbs of a life worth living, frankly. And what's standing between a future, an actual future, a future that we will actually care to live, what's standing between us and that is these companies that continue to finance fossil fuel. These companies that continue to greedily squeeze every goddamn last bit of profit they can out of the system. Let's stop them. Can we stop these people? Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. Thank you for that. All right, XR out.
Thank you so much, Eric. You know, in Venice, California, we have proof that the royalties for the oil, you take a look and Google search Santa Monica, Venice, Playa del Rey, and Huntington Beach, you see wherever they could, they put these big oil derricks up and these oil wells. And the last oil well to be removed from Venice was where the skate park is now. Underneath that skate park is where the oil well, the last one, used to be. We have, ladies and gentlemen, we have the proof that in the 100 years that they were extracting oil from the beaches right there, you'll see pictures of billowing white sheets and shirts and clothes hanging dry in the sun next to these oil derricks back in the day. Wooden, they were wooden then. They weren't the metal ant-looking mechanical alien things pumping. We have proof that the families were never paid the royalties from that oil, that they just changed oil company names, and the people that benefited, the organizations that benefited from that oil extraction was the city of Los Angeles and the oil companies and the banks. The family signed to have these oil derricks and the oil wells next to their bedroom windows, the front door, the backyard, the side yard. So I don't know about you, but these $2 million homes really need to litigate and figure out what the sale is, because I know everybody wants to have a garden and grow food, but they don't know the truth. And that's the other thing that we need to stop in this evolution is the lies.
Here comes the military.
Wow. Four military airplanes. I've never seen them before.
That's crazy.
Well, that much of a threat? Hell yeah! What are we doing? Our community's under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
What are we doing? The earth is under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
What are we doing? The water is under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
What are we doing? Our elders are under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
What are we doing? The children are under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
What are we doing? The water's under attack.
They're getting nothing.
Oh, they got their gloves on.
What are we doing? Our
They're
communities
just
are under
escalating
attack.
a little bit. I told them, we've got no
We
more
what?
speakers and we're gonna walk, but I want to make sure
That's
they
right.
don't surprise us.
Okay.
So
I'm going to tell
Thank
the
you.
gentlemen that are doing security here, and that the ones that are on bicycle and the security in suits, that we've been here before, and they should ask about the legacy of our support for Standing Rock and the people in the water. We had to do round dances for friendship
the Spirit Lake Drum, George Funmaker, and all the singers came out. Ray Saragosa, we love you. And all the people who came out to support back then, having to work today in this pandemic, in this time of need for helping people. I want to say that they should know that our legacy isn't forgotten, because we did the hokey pokey, we did the Macarena, we did so many dances in front of these windows before they had the funding to reconstruct and redefine who they are. This might be the claim to their little wall here in this easement. I don't give a fuck, because this is indigenous land and it's stolen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, folks. I think we're going to close it down here. Thank you all for hanging out with us. And we'll be in touch about what else is going on. If anyone wants to make it down to the action at the Burbank Boulevard over the 405, that's 4 o'clock today. And we're going to make sure we don't cause any problems here. We're going to do some other actions and conclude down at the Canadian Consulate. But thanks for being with us virtually, and we hope to see you somewhere soon.
Thank you, Jack.
Anyone else have any words to close it off?
Thank you, Lydia, too.
I'll let her know that. And if anyone has anything to say real quick before we turn off the live stream. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to shut it down, and we'll see you all next time.